Hello everyone and welcome to some MiSTer FPGA news. This week we will be talking about 2 new arcade cores released, future work for some arcade cores, and more. So let's get to it. Pramod has had some problems with SD RAM on the Williams Y and Z unit core, but fortunately was able to solve it by making a frame buffer for DMA. In addition to that, Pramod also solved another problem of overruns on the display out. Another target for the core was also reached, but Pramod now needs to find out why interrupts aren't working with the new code. If you're curious about the current status of the MiSTex project, Hans gave a small update. He said that at this point you can start porting and playing cores. However, for it to be ready for end users, it will probably happen by the end of next year. He also reiterated that baseboards will be designed for QM-Tech FPGA boards that have the RTX 100T and Kintex 325T. If you don't know what MiSTex is, it's a fork of MiSTer whose goal is to try to get cores working on multiple FPGA boards. Thanks to work done by Darren O and Attract 17, Rally Bike is now playable on the MiSTer FPGA. Attract 17 has a detailed and technical public Patreon post involving the development of the core, and I highly recommend you check it out. You can obtain the core by enabling the CoinOp collection database in the Update All script. Attract 17 also mentioned development work for some future cores. Demon's World is about 80% done. All that's left to do is to finish up a DSP chip for the core. After work for the DSP chip is done for Demon's World, work will start on Flying Shark and Twin Cobra, 2 vertically scrolling shooters. Another game that was linked to Twin Cobra and Flying Shark is Wardner, but it wasn't mentioned that it will be worked on in the future. Attract 17 had this to say about it when talking about the Rally Bike PCB. Interesting note about this specific PCB is that it bridges Flying Shark, Wardner, and Twin Cobra hardware with Toplin's newest hardware referred to Toplin 1. Unfortunately, the Neo Geo Pocket core is not ready for release yet. There is still work left to do. Right now, the core boots up and runs through the language and clock setup screens. However, it hangs up soon after. A lot of work was done fixing issues with the core these past few weeks, but there seems to be a pending bug in the CPU implementation that's halting the progress. At the moment, there is no time frame for the core, but work will continue on this core. Robert has given us an update on the progress of the N64 core. Here's what's done. All missing 64-bit CPU instructions have been added, CPU exception handling has been added, the first steps for safe state loading is done, and allowing output of arbitrary horizontal resolutions has been implemented. The safe state support is huge because Robert initially mentioned that it will probably not make it to the core. It doesn't mean that it will make it to the final build, but it will be great to have. Pierco has released a beta for the Kick and Run arcade core. This is a soccer/football game by Taito. The game is playable, but a lot more work needs to be done. Some to-dos and current bugs are: the on-screen display hasn't been worked on yet. In regards to video sync, the game works on CRT displays, but there may be a few lines on the left and top that should not be visible normally. Same thing for HDMI. For music, Pierco believes the YM clock is incorrect. There are some timing issues, so it's possible for the game to crash after a certain amount of time. Also, dip switches are not being read correctly. You can download the core from Pierco's public Patreon post. Bob from Retro RGB has an interview with Wizzo, who has created an awesome set of scripts that improve your MiSTer. They go over the development of the scripts, use cases, and more. Wizzo has created scripts for searching games, adding favorites, a remote control for your phone, and more. Check out Wizzo's GitHub page to download these scripts, or you can enable them and update all. I also highlight his scripts in some of my videos. I'll provide links to these in the description. Lots of updates by Anton Gale for the Taito System SJ core. Time Tunnel is running on the core, but there are some small sprite glitches. Space Seeker is also running on the core, but the colors are a bit messed up. Dip switch reading is now implemented. The first 4 sound chips are now working on the core. A bug affecting the ground in Jungle Hunt and the warping effect in Space Seeker was fixed. Hit detection is now implemented. And the bootleg protection method for Space Cruiser was identified, so all levels are playable now. The game Alpine Ski now needs to be looked at because it doesn't currently boot. So that's it for this episode. I provided links to all my sources in the description. Make sure you also check out RetroRGB.com to see my MiSTer News videos in blog form and to get more retro related content. And if possible, support them on Patreon too. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button and its bell icon so you can get notified of future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.